This is Living Healthy with Jackie Bell, the show with the information on health that you need to know from people you can trust. Brought to you by The Woman in You.
Hi, my name is Jackie Bell. Welcome to Living Healthy. Tonight our program is called Fit to a T, because we are talking with a golf fitness instructor, Jodi Garie. Welcome, Jodi. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Jackie.
Jodi is a golf fitness instructor and a fitness coach, and she's going to explain to us how to be fit to a T, how she works coaching people so that their body is flexible enough to have a very powerful golf swing. So we were talking a little bit, Jodi, about your background as an exercise physiologist and your background in rehabilitation and spinal care. And for me, that plays a significant role in why you are so fit to be a golf fitness instructor, because of your understanding of the spine and the power behind the flexibility of the spine. Can you talk a little bit about exercise physiologist work
Sure.
and your work in the rehabilitation?
Sure. As an exercise physiologist, it's important to understand how the body moves. So with my background of 20 years in health and fitness industry, I was working with orthopedic injuries and people with spine injuries, and it went from, your everyday person to people in sports. So I got a good feeling for all the different injuries that people can get when their core is not in great shape. And that's what I found the most of, is that these people didn't have great core strength or flexibility through their spine or through their hamstrings and the important body parts that they need to do everyday functional activities. So as my specialty progressed, I became a personal trainer and then a golf fitness instructor, and I really became like a core specialty trainer. So I really found out that the core is the center of all your actions, and it's where you generate all your power and movements from. So I really found that was a great way to see the body mechanics and where you come from as a center of your body, and then gear all those other small movements from there.
So from being an exercise physiologist and working in rehabilitation, then you got training as a golf fitness instructor, right?
Yes, I did. I got trained from the Titleist Performance Institute, and that's the #1 golf fitness facility in the world. That was founded by Dave Phillips and Dr. Greg Rose, and it was the greatest certification I ever went through, because I was able to really, fine-tune my specialty in core training and put that into play with golfers. So that was a great path for me to go down as a personal trainer.
And as a golf fitness specialist, you talk about core conditioning, and why don't you tell us in general what core conditioning is and why it's so important to fitness in general, not specifically for golf. We'll definitely get into that, but just so that the average person who's watching, maybe he or she doesn't play golf, but he or she could definitely benefit as well from core fitness instruction.
Yeah, core training is so important with everyday functional activities, from gardening to cleaning your house to washing your dog, whatever it might be. You need spine stability. You need mobility of the spine, you need balance, and you need strength in all those movement patterns. So it's really important to maintain that general core conditioning, because your core isn't, everyone always thinks core is your abs, or they say, my core is weak, and they point to their abs. Your core is really, involves a group of muscles. It involves your lower back, it involves your hips, and it also involves your abdominal muscles. So in your lower back as well. So it's important that when I look at someone and try to focus on core, is I find out where they're limited and where there might be inflexibilities in those general areas: lower back, hips, abdominals. And your abs, they actually have 3 parts. You have your rectus abdominis muscles, which is your basic area that people call it their six-pack, if they always wanted one. You have your oblique abdominals, which are the side ones that allow you to do rotational movement patterns, and you have your transverse abdominis, which people don't really understand why it's so important to train those. Those are your deepest core muscles that support your spine. So it's so important to to really think of that core is that whole general area wrapped around your body like
So
a
that would be
corset.
abdominal, lower back, and also
Gluteus, your
the
hips or
gluteus.
glute muscles.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So golf, as opposed to swimming or tennis, needs a certain kind of core instructional training?
Yes, definitely. It's important because you have to look at those movement patterns and find out where you're limited. And that's what's great about the golf fitness evaluation that I do. I basically look at 12 to 14 physical areas of the body and identify how they limit your golf swing. So I see where your movement from, how you can disassociate one body part from the other so that you can get a really great kinematic sequence in that golf swing. So it's very important for me to identify where your weak spots or your limitations are, and then I can design a golf exercise program or any program depending on what sport you might play. I can design a specific program for you, with like a home exercise program.
So what's it like for a typical person to come to you basically out of shape or semi out of shape, who wants to play golf? Maybe her husband plays golf and she wants to join the crowd, or what would be a typical experience for her, and over what time period would you work with them?
Well, basically, I work with people from anywhere between 6 and 12 weeks initially. I do I'll actually do a fitness assessment on people. I would measure their flexibility, their cardiovascular conditioning, their body circumference measurements, their body fat. So I want to get a general idea of how fit this person is. And if they're gearing more toward golf, then I do that golf fitness evaluation. I usually start with the foundational exercises like flexibility. If you don't have flexibility, which is your foundation for all exercise, it's like your house. If you don't have a good foundation, you won't be able to build up upon it. So I look at flexibility as your first area. Flexibility is the first area. Actually, probably flexibility is your second area that you lose as we age. The first area is balance. So I look at balance as well, flexibility second, and then probably cardiovascular endurance. So I do a cardiovascular kind of assessment or test for people, a 3-minute step test to find out how fit they are cardiovascularly, and make sure that I design a program that's involving those 3 steps as a basic person: balance, flexibility, and cardiovascular conditioning.
So let's break that down a little bit. I mean, balance, we think about walking on a beam and, trying to, stay balanced or standing on one foot. Is there more to it than that?
Well, that's the basic area that you want to start with is testing your balance or challenging your balance by standing on one foot, doing, simple exercises in the house, whether you're setting the table or talking on the phone or doing the dishes, is start doing that standing on one foot to kind of incorporate some balance. Myself as a functional trainer, I do a lot of cable column exercise routines with people, and I do a lot of unilateral stance exercises with them with weight training to build up their core in a balanced kind of fashion. And balance is really key for golf.
How is it? I was just going to ask that. How is it really key? Is in the swing?
Yes, as you swing, it's important as you come through and follow through. You provide this weight shift onto your left leg if you're a right-handed hitter. So your balance actually shifts onto that left side. And if you don't have good balance, you're going to come up early or come out of that swing too soon, have early extension, and then you'll end up not hitting the ball very straight or very far.
Okay. And then flexibility, that would be important in being able to get as much power into the swing as possible?
Exactly. I look at flexibility in a couple different areas. I look at flexibility as their torso flexibility, how well they can rotate their shoulders, as well as their hips. It's really important to be able to disassociate those 2 areas and find out which one is limited, so that my specific golf training exercise will gear in on those areas to make sure that they can actually rotate their hips and get a good shoulder turn, so that you don't put the strain on your lower back. Your lower back is the first area that people complain of on in their golf game. Basically, they either become fatigued, or the lower back gets injured, or they just have a really tough time. They call me and say, "My lower back's killing me, Jodi. What can you do for me?" So it's really important to find out, what the reason is. Is it lack of range of motion in one area that's putting all that force on their back, or is it a posture issue? So it's important to really evaluate that whole body.
And what are some typical exercises that people would have to do to get their balance and flexibility back? Would they be weight training, or would it be just your typical, bending and stretching, or jumping jacks, or?
For my core training, I do a lot of unilateral stance exercises to help that area, help your core, and I use the BOSU, which is a half moon shaped exercise tool, and you can stand on the round part or you can stand on the flat part where the round part is unstable. I use the physio ball a lot, or what they call the Swiss exercise ball. So I utilize as many unstable situations in my training as a functional trainer to help people build up on their balance and their core strength. Because just sitting against a bench or sitting with something supportive behind your back that's just flat isn't challenging enough. So I utilize a lot of cable exercises, including utilizing the physio ball and the BOSU. So those are my favorite two tools in the gym.
Okay. And then what about people who have some kind of history of an injury? Maybe they've hurt their knee or they've had a hip problem. Are you able to help them regain strength and get some good flexibility out of those areas that were once injured?
Yeah, definitely. I feel confident that I can give people a great home exercise program, a flexibility program to get some movement in that area, and then give them some stabilization exercises, whether it's a shoulder or a hip or a knee. So it is important to make sure that they're strengthening the areas that have been weakened in the past, because you need to start there. We need to find out where their limitations are in the physical body, and identify how that's going to be relating to their golf swing or their tennis game or any
Right.
function that they might have. They might just come to me and say, my back really bothers me when I'm gardening. What can I do? Or one of my clients had trouble getting up off the ski slope because he didn't have good core strength. So it's important to find out where the limitations are. I ask a lot of questions, do a health history, and find out, what are your goals? That's really important, to find out what my clients' goals are, and make sure I find out that those are measurable, and being able to achieve those measurable goals as I work with them.
It seems like as you strengthen a person's core and their core muscles, that their whole functioning, the way that their posture is, the way they hold their spine and their nervous system flow is going to improve as a side benefit. Do you find that people are really happy with how they feel? Like they feel better, they feel more vibrant, or they have old aches and pains or different kind of symptoms that tend to go away just by training?
Oh, definitely. So many people are sitting behind a desk and driving long distances and with this really rounded posture. So, by me incorporating a lot of stretching of the upper chest area and developing those upper back muscles, people really find that they feel so much better, more energized, their posture's better, they're breathing better. Overall, they just feel so much more confident with their body when they start developing core strength, because they're more erect when they're standing, and they're more aware of their body when we start developing core strength. So a lot of my clients say, boy, I feel so much better now that I know where my core is and I know how to engage my core, and I'm standing up better, and I have just a better feeling at work. I'm not getting neck pain and shoulder discomfort all day.
So could you just sort of outline for us what the golf fitness evaluation is like? There's, I think you said 14 different areas that you evaluate. Can you briefly outline them?
Sure. Basically, it's an hour-long evaluation. It includes a health history. And basically, what I look at is 12 to 14 physical areas of the body, and I identify how they limit your golf swing. So I look at balance, I look at flexibility, I look at how your body moves for rotational patterns for upper body and lower body. I look at hip range of motion, and then we do some strength tests to test your core muscles, what we call the king and the queen. And the king is your powerhouse for golf. So I measure your glute muscles. That's your strong muscle that you should definitely have strength in. And what we call the queen are the abdominals. So you want to have good harmony between the king and the queen. So I make sure that I make it fun for people. It's a really nice way for people to identify where their limitations are, so we can really focus on improving their golf game.
Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the tee. Jodi's going to show us a little bit about her golf evaluation, so join us there.
Hey, Hey, Stephen.
Hi, Jody. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I could use a little help, I think, with my stroke. I just don't feel very fluid about it or anything. It doesn't feel comfortable for me. So.
Maybe I can help you out. I can do a few of my golf tests on you right now if you have a few minutes.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds fine. I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right.
I could use some help.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you're not real fluid, we could see where your movements are and go from there.
Okay. Good.
All right. Well, here I am demonstrating 5 of the 14 tests of a golf fitness evaluation. These tests will help me understand where the player is physically so that I can then design a golf-specific exercise program. The physical evaluations described here require a player to perform various movements to help understand where they might have a relative strength or weakness relative to the golf swing. I will observe the player's posture to decide what type of posture they have at address or setup. If the player has what is called C posture, this is usually caused by a series of muscle imbalances or joint restrictions that are developed over years. Tight chest, upper trapezius, or weak lower trapezius, to name a few. Or this posture can simply be the result of poor setup position. If you have too much arch in your back at setup, this is called S posture, and this can put excessive stress on your lower back and cause instability in your lower body throughout the golf swing. This can be caused by tight hip flexors, lower back, or weak abdominal muscles or buttocks muscles. The next test is to see if a player can disassociate or separate their upper body compared to their lower body movement patterns relative to the golf swing. Without these movements, your kinesthetic sequence of the golf swing will not be smooth. The pelvic rotation test demonstrates mobility and stability. If it is hard for you to rotate your lower body from your upper body and you tend to shift your pelvis laterally instead of rotating around your spine, you would need to work on coordinating this movement since it may cause sequencing problems on the downswing. The torso rotation test demonstrates mobility. It shows me if you're having a hard time rotating your upper body around your lower body. These limitations can lead to excessive lateral sway during the backswing, loss of trunk posture in the backswing, and cause you to come out of your posture. This next test is the shoulder 90-90 test. Since many of us are cursed with shoulder problems from many years of playing sports, we know how important it is to keep our range of motion. The average shoulder range of motion for the player on the PGA Tour is over 110 degrees. If you have good external rotation of your right shoulder for the right-handed player, this should allow you to set the club and rotate your right arm into proper position during the backswing. Good. I want you to rotate 3 times toward me. This last test shown today is thoracic spine range of motion. This part of the evaluation shows us what kind of thoracic spine range of motion you have relative to golf. Good. The norms for the PGA Tour is over 60 degrees. The type of flexibility will definitely help you fire your upper body around your lower body during the downswing and finish. Golf conditioning will benefit the efficiency of your golf swing mechanics. It is at this time of the season that your body becomes prepared for power, speed, and greater range of motion, whether a competitive or amateur golfer. The physical evaluation and golf-specific exercise program is intended for golf performance improvement and not for injury rehabilitation. This is no substitute for individualized medical advice, and you should always consult your doctor before you begin any exercise program.
Jody, thank you so much for showing us that brief evaluation on golf fitness training.
No problem. It was fun.
It was fun. Very worthwhile to see the details as opposed to just talking about it too.
Good.
If someone's interested in taking their golf game to the next level or strengthening their core, how can they get more information from you?
They can contact me at 508-454-8547, or they can visit howlandplacefitnesscenter.com.
Okay, great. That's it today for Living Healthy. Thank you for joining us. Our guest was Jodi Garie, and she talked about being fit to a T.